It's it's fall. Did you know it's fall?
It's fall.
It's fair
And
time. It's
it's
fair time.
muggy outside today. What the
Yeah.
heck?
Yeah, it's bizarro land. We started to do a podcast a couple weeks ago, and I think I blew you up. Sorry, I'm not sure what happened there, but all of a sudden we were deep in it, folks. We were knee deep in it. There was a
We
big
were.
day, and you were at a plowing match. No, you had a farm show. You had
No,
a farm
I
show
was
in
at the
Woodstock.
outdoor farm show. So it
Yeah,
was the week before the plowing match. I was at the outdoor farm show in Woodstock. That's where the real farmers go to buy
that's
those
where the
big
real
machines
farmers
and
go.
everything else. Yeah.
And we were going down many rabbit holes like we usually do, but we get a fresh start today because that one never made it to air.
No.
Somewhere in the
The aliens got a hold
yeah,
of it.
they got a hold of
They're
it, but
watching Dave and Bobbi Ann somewhere.
they're having a good laugh anyway. But anyway, we got to revisit some of the topics that we were
They're
talking about.
We got to go save those people.
We got to go save those people. I can't tell you that I have seen worldwide, local politically, provincially, federally, so much stuff going on in the last 2 weeks since last we talked. It's incredible how quickly things are changing in this world today that we live in, is it not?
Oh, it is. And I don't think it is by accident. I don't think it's by chance. I think the changes we see, I think the divides that we see being created are very purposeful. And it's at every single level of government, right from municipal. You look locally and look at the strife that's been occurring between two counties with respect to an integrity commissioner report over the past month or so. And yeah, there's been some infiltration, I believe, by our provincial government locally into municipal politics. We know that just by the fact that their candidate in this past election was, the Norfolk County mayor, and it's really sad. I see even at the school board level. I'm going to write about it this week, actually. I'm going to write about the fact that the government is going to get rid of school board trustees. And they have stripped school board trustees of their roles, basically. School board trustees can no longer go into schools. They can no longer call families if there's a problem. Basically, they've created the means to an end. They've stripped school board trustees of all of their roles. And now they're going to say, we don't need you. And I'm really curious, though.
Do you see that happening with councils down the road?
I do see that. Well, listen, this is the same government who has imposed strong mayor powers. Right, ironically, their PC association locally speaks out against the mayor of Haldeman County having strong mayor powers, but none of them joined me in my fight when I was saying, hey, look, strong mayor powers are a slippery slope and we probably shouldn't go down that road. Yet all the people who are now against strong mayor powers worked against me in the provincial election. Makes a lot of sense. Anyway, we see this divide and we see it very purposefully. And I question the Mark Watson, who was not paid. I don't think he's paid his share of this Italian, this trip to Italy that the school board took, Brant Haldeman Norfolk Catholic District School Board. He's the last one to pay. And there's been no statement. There's been nothing. And I'm very, very suspicious of that situation. And I believe that the government, Paul Calandra has said, we will bring forward legislation to make sure that, he pays this. I believe that legislation is going to be wrapped up into the same legislation to get rid of school board trustees.
Wow. I didn't realize we were going down that road this morning.
I'm not sure if you're drawing the parallels that are kind of like that. I woke up in the middle of the night last week one night and went, wait a minute. Maybe there's a reason Mark Watson's not paying the government, paying this back, and he's going to be the poster child in this new bill.
Never know, right? That's another situation.
Everything's by design. All the polarization, all of the anger, and we keep falling for it. I put up a Facebook post yesterday. Enough is enough. We know what's going on. We know what the agenda is locally. Stop, because the taxpayer is the one who is suffering the most when people are polarized, when people are not getting along. And look, you know what? We don't all have to agree all the time, nor should we. But my goodness, we should be decent people. We should come to the table and we should sit down. Look, I get accused all the time. Oh, you don't get along with the mayor of Norfolk County. Well, the mayor of Norfolk County came after my job. I got along just fine with her. She's chosen to distance herself from me. So I get in trouble for that. And then the next question is, well, the mayor of Haldeman County, you get along too well with her. Well, what am I supposed to do? I don't get along with one, I get along with the other. I don't know what position. It's all very purposeful. It's all by design. It's to keep us at each other's throats. And
So why
the
can't you
majority of
guys?
people.
Why can't the mayors, the two mayors, you and the MP, why don't you guys just get into a, I don't know, a private room and sort this shit out? Sorry about the
So I
language,
don't know if you
but
remember, but in
that seems to be
2022,
what needs to be done.
after the municipal election, there was a photo taken right here at this office. I called all the other three together, Mayor Martin,
I
Mayor
remember that.
Bentley,
Yeah, I do.
and Les Lewis. We came here, we took a photo, and I said, look, we're not always going to get along, but my goodness, we have to at least come together for the betterment of the community. Oh, yeah. Well, three of us have upheld that bargain.
Well, maybe it's time to have
So,
another
Mayor
roundtable to sit
Bentley,
down because
Leslin Lewis, and I don't have a problem working together.
and
So,
I think it's time for the mayor of Norfolk to join you guys and just sit down and discuss where this needs to go because the people of Haldeman, Norfolk deserve better, and
absolutely.
I think that's
Yeah.
part of the thing that I see. I think it's frustrating. We got so many big problems that we should be addressing. That's the part that just drives me insane. It's like, that I what like people are complaining about their water bills. Okay, well,
Right.
what do we need to fix that, right? We're not
Mhm.
talking about those ground root problems that the everyday person has to deal with and is financially strapped trying to make payments for, stuff they that should be on all federal, provincial, and municipal agendas to get better.
And you're right. What we see right now. So last night's Haldeman County Council meeting just taken up with not issues that affect the taxpayer. It's all drama. It's titillating drama that people latch onto, and they just
Yeah,
they love
it
it.
gets views, right?
And there's the Haldeman Norfolk PC representative sitting at the council table, telling everyone how we can't have the current MPP for the next 4 years, for another 4 years. What does that have to do with county business? You should be wanting to work with me so that we can further the county agenda. Am I going to uphold his idea of wanting 40,000 people at the city of or at Nanticoke at the industrial park? No, I'm not going to. But I'm sure there are a host of other things that we could work together on and get done for the people of Haldeman County, right? So
Question: why don't they have a
it's this
referendum
type of
for
thing
Haldeman,
that just
Norfolk on
keeps.
that issue?
Oh, well, so that it would have to be done in next year's at next year's municipal election time, and it is one of the things that's being talked about at Haldeman County. And of course, those gentlemen who support the city of 40,000 don't really want to see that. So they say, well, then every issue. No, the city of 40,000 is probably the most significant issue, on the municipal docket in many years. Councillor Patrick O'Neill went after me on a Facebook post about this recently. He was trying to play cute with my words. I said that this is the most significant municipal issue in a long time. He says, "Oh, that's really something coming from the MPP, who should be worried about healthcare and education." Well, I am. MZO in a city of 40,000 is at the municipal level. I also get to fight it at the provincial level. But we bring 40,000 people to the Nanticoke Industrial Park. You bet I'm going to be talking about healthcare, education, and everything else. It's all very interesting. There's been a lot of infiltration, I think, at every single level of government by all sorts of people, organizations, and what it's doing when you see that level of infiltration. It's control. It's about silencing. I have received probably a dozen calls over the past 2 weeks from municipal officials, mayors, councillors, right across Ontario, who tell me this has to stop. One said to me, "I am financially drained and I am exhausted." The bigger problem is we sit around these council chambers, some of us, and we are terrified of saying or doing anything because we're afraid somebody's going to bring an IC report against us. And keep in mind, These integrity commissioners, Dave, there is absolutely zero oversight. Nobody oversees them. Also, you could be a follower. So I just said that the Haldeman County Council has been infiltrated by the local PC association. So anybody following that narrative and says, we need to get rid of the MPP because we don't want her around for 4 years, or we need to get rid of the mayor because she speaks out against the city of 40,000, any of their followers can anonymously trigger an integrity commissioner report. That's a problem.
Well, they have to send in a complaint, right, to the integrity
They have to
commission?
send in, yeah, but they
Does
remain
it cost
anonymous.
them money or no? It costs them
It does
real
not
money.
cost them money. No, it costs the taxpayer money, though. And this is one of my problems with this IC process. Number one is paralyzing municipal officials from doing their job. When mayors and councillors from across this province say to me, I'm terrified to say or do anything around the council chamber anymore, that's a problem. Secondly, the taxpayer should be paying attention. I wrote in my last newspaper column what some of these integrity commissioner reports cost. City of Ottawa, $100,000 a few years ago. One integrity commissioner report can cost $30,000. That's all coming out of our pocket. For what? For nana boo-boo stuff that can trigger a report. So a staffer doesn't like City of London. Staffer doesn't like a question that one of the councillors asks, boom, triggers an integrity commissioner report. Taxpayer pays. We dealt without integrity commissioners for many years in this province, and people got along just fine. Sometimes, Dave, if I say something that upsets you around the council table, how would we normally deal with that in everyday life? Or if we said it around the boardroom table and I upset you, the adult thing to do would be, you know what, Dave, I really didn't mean to upset you. I apologize, right? No, now we're spending $30,000 to force somebody to apologize to someone when perhaps they didn't even do anything wrong, just because somebody in the community or somebody who's infiltrated has an axe to grind with somebody around the table. It's happening. We are not unique in Haldeman, Norfolk. We are not unique with respect to this nana boo-boo stuff. It is happening right across the province, and it's all very purposeful. From what I see, the people being targeted are people who are speaking out against the government's agenda.
The integrity commissioner was started, I think, in 2021. I'm not positive on that. I should look that up before I make that statement. But the intent was, when these complaints are launched, this person would be writing a report on what their findings were, correct?
Yes, except one would think that an integrity commissioner would present fact.
Well, that's what it would be based on, correct?
Should
it would
be.
have to be. Yeah.
Okay. It should be. So I'm going to give you an example. In the most recent integrity commissioner report that I have been dragged into, which, disclaimer, I invoked parliamentary privilege. And
what does that mean? Just so
it
folks
means,
know.
well, it means I had no obligation to speak to the integrity commissioner. So the integrity commissioner reached out to my office. We said, we are under
Haldeman Norfolk, right? For Haldeman Norfolk.
Well, he is the integrity commissioner for Haldeman and Norfolk.
Okay.
Okay, so he makes money off of
both sides.
Okay. So he reached out to my office. He said, I want to speak to Bobbi Ann about this. And my office politely said, Bobbi Ann's under no obligation to speak to you. She has nothing to do with your investigation, and she's under no obligation. To which he responded, and I'm paraphrasing, I don't believe you, and continued to chase me. And so I was served. I finally said, fine, you want to serve me with a subpoena? Go ahead. Anyway, I'm curious what his invoice would look like with respect to me.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Because a gentleman came to my house one night. I was at a meeting in Port Dover. I got a text from my neighbor saying, hey, when are you going to be home? 20 minutes. I'm driving home from Dover. Well, there's a gentleman here to serve you. I said, well, I'll be home in 20 minutes. Got home. Nobody was there. Waited around an hour and a half. Nobody came. A few days later, IC's office reaches back out to me. We need to track Bobbi Ann down. We give him a time when I'm going to be home. Doesn't show up. I'm wondering what that invoice looks like when originally I said to this guy, I'm not speaking to you. I have nothing to do with this, and I don't have to speak to you. As a lawyer, as the integrity commissioner, he should know all about parliamentary privilege. He should know that the premier uses it, that every parliamentarian uses parliamentary privilege, especially if you have nothing to do with the file. My point on invoking parliamentary privilege was, why would I waste taxpayer dollars? Because I'm sure it's a minimum charge. If I sit across from the integrity commissioner for 15 minutes, do you think he's billing for 15 minutes, Dave?
No, he's not.
No, he's not billing for 15 minutes. And when we look at the report, it says, getting back to the factual aspect of this, it says, I find it frustrating and disappointing MPP Bobbi Ann Brady chose to invoke parliamentary privilege. I find it frustrating and disappointing. He's inserting his feelings into a report. That is not factual. A factual statement would have been MPP Bobbi Ann Brady invoked parliamentary privilege, citing she had nothing to do with the investigation. That's factual. He did not report something factual about me. I had done my research on what these reports from this particular IC look like. Had I sat across from this gentleman and said, I have nothing to offer you, and sat there and looked at him and said, I have nothing to offer you, I'm not involved with this, I don't know why I'm here, report could have said, MPP Bobbi Ann Brady seemed angry and frustrated, and why who would do that? Who would put themselves through that? And who would think that that's okay to ding the taxpayer for? Not me. So, my detractors say, oh, she's running from it. No, I'm not running from it. I wrote about it last week, and here I am talking about it. And I will continue to talk about it because the IC process is being used as a weapon right across this province. Not only here in Haldeman, Norfolk, it is a weapon being used in almost every single municipality in this province.
So, and I don't know, I only know spatterings of all this report. I don't even know what it's about. I heard it was a leaked email when it was the Haldeman Norfolk Brant Health Unit, whatever it was going to be. And that seems to be where everything stems from. Was this email that damaging to everybody? Was it just, I don't even know what that means. Like, I don't even know what it is.
So I think it was a letter from Mayor Martin to Haldeman County, basically saying that Mayor Bentley had to do certain things, or she was, perhaps going to put Haldeman County in a precarious situation where they would have to be removed from the transition board.
Oh.
So
was it a private letter between them two, or was it an email?
That's a very funny question, and people should go back and actually watch the exchange between a Councillor Adams and the Integrity Commissioner last night, where he actually says, did you have any information telling you that this document was not private and confidential? He says no. I believe that the document was not private and confidential. It did not indicate that it was private and confidential. And in his report, he alludes to the fact that not every document these days is marked private and confidential. So case in point, I had a reporter last week and I said, I would love to show you the emails from the Integrity Commissioner to my office. I would love to have you read those and you can see the way I was spoken to. And the reporter says, oh, send them to me. I said, no, wait a minute. You're the same guy who's upholding the idea that we now arbitrarily decide whether things are private and confidential. That is a problem. You and I both know that in our life, if something is private and confidential, it is clearly marked private and confidential. And I've told media, here's how I'm not running from this. If people wanted to say I'm running from this, no way. I'm being very, very upfront. Had somebody given me those documents, I would have handed them out like candy at Halloween.
Oh, there you go.
You know why? Because the taxpayer has the right to know what's happening with their tax dollars.
So did this letter lead to complications in order that, I don't understand where...
No, it didn't lead to any
I don't know where it goes. I'm not sure. Okay, so this letter between the two of them, blah, blah, blah. and then all of a sudden it's being investigated by the integrity commissioner because it is wrong to share that information.
So somebody got a hold of this letter
Okay.
and they
Oh, made
posted
it
it on
public.
social media.
Ah, that was it. Okay.
Okay. The post on social media, from what I understand, was a day after the election. So someone and a group of people who lost the election are trying to claim it was election interference. That's why
I got
I've
you
been
now.
dragged into it. Well, that is some sort of magical election interference when the post was a day after the election. And so a reporter says to me, but that's not when it was intended to be released. Okay, then tell me what the intended day was. Oh, I don't know. Intention has nothing to do with this. The fact is the post went up a day after the election. That is not election interference. And I am going to say this very boldly. I won by over 20,000 votes. I didn't need anyone to post anything and interfere in my election results.
All right. And my last question on this, because I think it's way too much drama for this old guy, to be honest with you.
It's crazy drama, but there are people who are very much engaged in the drama. Why would you want to be engaged in this drama?
So the mayor of Haldeman now has to face her counsel on the integrity report, correct? Is that the way this works now?
Yes.
So this
Yes.
person did the integrity report to hopefully, I don't know, as fair and as unbiased as he could or she could. And now that council makes the decision on what they want to do as far as how they're going to react to it.
I believe the recommendations were voted on last night, and the mayor will lose 3 months' pay, and on inconclusive evidence.
Can she turn around and do her own integrity, like say, okay, I want to investigate these guys?
I don't know.
Like, I'm just curious. Like, it just seems
could
like,
ask
I guess
for a
that,
judicial review,
right.
But again, it's money, right? It's like, how much money does she have to spend? Like, she's losing 3 months' pay right now, and even though the report does not prove she had anything to do with the documents being posted online. So she's losing 3 months' pay, and there's no evidence that it was even her who provided the documents. It's insane. And this is what I was speaking to an elected official yesterday from another part of the province, and they said to me, who would actually throw their hat in the ring when they start looking at how many of us have lost several months' pay? In some situations, municipal officials are doing the job for free because they just continually give their paycheck up due to integrity commissioner reports. That's a big job to do when you're handing over your paycheck every single month.
Do you think all this will get, not just this case, but provincially, will it all get reviewed about these, how they do it? Like, I think there's something here that's not clicking right. I'm not saying it's good or bad to have an integrity commissioner, but what I'm saying is there's something off about all this. Like, and again, I think like you said, it's fair when we're talking, it's the drama at all. And I want it to be done and get down to the root problems
I don't even know that we need integrity. Like, I don't know that we need them. We operated in this province without integrity commissioners for a long, long time. Keep in mind, some of these integrity commissioners have multiple municipalities as clients. So the more municipalities they have, the more integrity commissioner reports they have, the more taxpayer money they are collecting, right? It's all about money. And it's a way for it's a way for maybe certain people to control municipal councils. And I just say to the average person out there who might say, "Ooh, I don't know, like, something to hide here." Go Google some of these integrity commissioners' names and see what you find. Just saying.
And are they all appointed by the province?
No,
or you hire your own?
you hire your own.
Okay.
And I don't know how the hiring process works. I think in some cases the clerk or the an administrator at the municipal level hires these people. I don't know, but like I say, a quick Google search shows you what's going on in this province. So where does it end, Dave? I'm going to try and make it end. Bill 9 is being debated, when we get back to Queen's Park, probably, and it actually is kind of scary. Some of the elected officials that have contacted me are very worried about Bill 9, because in Bill 9 you could actually vote one of your colleagues right off council. So instead of, and that's not democratic at all.
That. No, you're elected by the people.
That's right. People, so. You're voted out by the people. You're voted in by the people. You're voted out. Right. So that's very scary to me, and I got to look into that a little bit more. But I will be with a group of these affected municipal officials from across this province. We are taking this on. This is wrong. When people are giving up, some of them giving up their entire annual salary to fight integrity commissioner reports, this is a problem. And again, I can't help but think that it's a means to an end. We will make the job of counselor so miserable. We will make you non-existent, just like they're going to do with school board trustees.
It's the world we live in today, folks.
I don't have a crystal ball, but the writing is on the wall. That's what I see. That's the way I see it. It's the demise of democracy. I've been talking about the demise of democracy for a long, long time. And I don't know if I spoke about it on one of our podcasts recently, but my partner, Brad, is a counselor. And he has said much of what I do, I really, we have no clout, right? We're basically a traffic director. That's by design. Don't give them any clout, and eventually people will go, well, why do we need them? Now you don't have a voice. Now you don't have an elected voice. I've given local politicians, at least one of them, advice in the past. Stop going out on social media and being part of the bureaucracy. Your job as an elected official is to support your community, not back staff all the time. If your community says the staff made the wrong decision and your community is really upset about it, what is your job as the elected official? To support your community, or to support perhaps what could be a poor decision made within the staff level?
It goes back a few years back. I remember talking to a local politician who said to me, well, we have to do these things because the community doesn't realize what's good for itself right now. And I thought about that and I went, well, maybe we can't afford what you think's good for us right now. That's right. Usually what it boils down to. If families are struggling and you're saying, no, this is going to go into play and it's going to help us down the road. Well, right now, the road looks like it ain't going anywhere. It's a dead end. So why don't you help, in your community? Why don't you make sure that we're still doing what we do? Because I think with all this, and I hate to encapsulate it this way, but I really do think it's just a pile of poop, because we got to get back to the problems that are affecting everyday people in Haltom and Norfolk and just stop. Like, I mean, if someone, you've often said, there's no, a good idea is a good idea. It doesn't matter where it comes from.
Not a good idea.
Right. Yep. So what the hell's going on? Why aren't we doing those things? Like, I've heard from folks about water bills being too high. I've heard from people complaining about, the possibility of a 4.5 accommodation tax. I've heard, and I'm hearing all these folks from Haltom and Norfolk saying these things going, why aren't they listening? Right?
Yep. Life, from what I understand, life's about to get far more expensive real quick locally. And I feel bad for people who are living in town, who are on town water, who are on fixed incomes, or who are working 2-3 jobs just to pay the bills. Where does it end? And all of this drama takes away from those problems, takes away from finding creative ways of trying to make life better for the taxpayer. And that's what really bothers me. we can go back to the campaign when the PC candidate refused to come in to debate me in Caledonia and used the excuse that there was no major party there to debate. Newsflash, I'm your number one competitor. It's a lack of respect. And at the end of the day, I am the MPP, and you should want to work with me to encourage ideas at the provincial level that we can all agree upon. And going back to your statement that a local official said, well, sometimes we know better. That doesn't matter. You look at the situation in Haldimand County right now, where you have four councillors who say that they know better than the community with respect to a city of 40,000 at the industrial park. The community doesn't buy that.
No.
And I suspect that those four councillors will be fighting for their job next October, because people are going to remember that you thought you knew better than us. And sometimes we have to take that stand as a elected official. What the community wants might be in conflict with what you think is the better option. But at the end of the day, they didn't elect me to make their decisions. They elected me to take their thoughts, their opinions, their wants and needs forward. That's my job.
Yeah. Well, it's I'm glad I was kind of like, watching all this stuff unfold, and I was like, it just seems a waste. But we did it. We're out of we're done that conversation. You did write a column, and I want to talk there's two actually. I want to talk real quick if you have time. You wrote one a few months ago. Sadly, many can't read this column, which I thought was excellent. And it talks about just what's going on as far as our education components with our children and our families. And the other one I wanted to bring up was, you talked a little bit just recently about the STEM program. So I thought it was kind of good. You had those two educational components in there. Sadly, many can't read this column was something in 2012 I picked up on when I had read that at that time, less than 10% of Haldimand, Norfolk would ever go to university, and 49% did not have a grade 12 education. And that really struck me. Like, I was like, oh my goodness, like, this is crazy. And then, with this piece that you put out, if you want to talk about it for a minute, just what you found out too.
Yeah. So the column was written. I have meetings. The rest of today, I have meetings lined up after we're done chatting here, and I learn a lot from the people who come in, the experts who come in and teach me things. And so that column came out of a meeting with the Literacy Council, and it becomes a systemic issue when mom and dad can't read or write, and their kids bring home homework and need help, or they bring home books from the library and mom and dad can't help them.
Right.
That is a problem, and it happens more than we know. And it creates kind of another generation who might struggle because they're not getting the supports. We all know that teachers, our educators, and our school system, our folks within the school system at the local, within our small schools locally, they do a really good job. But they also need support of mom and dad at home. And it breaks my heart to think that, if I'm a mom or dad and, little Susie brings home a book and I can't even help her with it, I can't read it to her, I can't help her out with a word, that really breaks my heart. So, and we have all these labor gaps. Yep. And, fixing literacy issues, helping folks with literacy, I think helps fix those labor gaps as well. So, I think it's something that the majority of us take for granted, that we were taught how to read and write. And there are very, very smart people in our community who have never been taught how to read or write. Doesn't make them, less intelligent than you or I or anyone else. They just were never taught how to read or write. And that precludes them from a number of jobs. And I think that we have a lot of work to do in catching up some of these folks who are struggling in literacy. One of the other things that I talk about is financial literacy. And I think our young people are lacking that. It's one of the things that Toby and I talked about for years within the government. And actually, Patrick Brown, it was one of the things that he ran on when he was running for leader is increasing financial literacy for our young people. And we now see it in the curriculum. So people have listened, but we spoke about this, my goodness, like 12, 15 years ago. We said we need to increase programs and curriculum with respect to financial literacy. A credit card needs to be paid off every single month. And we need to teach people how to balance books, how to, what a mortgage looks like, what your interest looks like, all of these things. And we're not doing a good job of that. Case in point, I was in Dave's Variety yesterday. And if you've ever been in Dave's Variety, if you're from out of town and you've ever stopped into Dave's Variety, it is the hub. And so I was in there talking to Dave, and he was telling me that he has a huge problem with, our education system and our curriculum these days. We have honor students. We have kids who are, leaving our schools as Ontario scholars, but we really don't feel that they are set up for success in life. They can't add, subtract, multiply, and divide in their head. All those basic skills that we were taught, those things aren't being drilled into our kids' heads these days. And that's not our kids' fault. That's government's fault. That is the fault of folks who are designing curriculum. And I think it's time we go back to basics. STEM and all of these things, these great things that I wrote about, might seem like new ideas, but they're really not. They're about practical, hands-on knowledge. And I think that we have to get back to basics, and we have to provide more of that hands-on educational opportunity.
Education is power, right? I mean, that's the whole premise here, that, when you get that opportunity to educate people and they learn and they grow, that's a better society.
Mm-hmm. And I think that there's, when I think back to some of the educators I had, they were the ones who planted seeds. They were the ones who presented to you interesting things that drove you as an individual to maybe go learn more or to delve deeper into something. It wasn't just let's get through class and be done with it. Right. And as an adult, sometimes I think we do things backwards a little bit. You don't really recognize certain things until you're older. I never had a desire for geography or history when I was in high school. And I think it was the way it was presented to me. No disrespect to the people who were teaching it to me. It didn't really interest me. Today, historical fiction is what I turn to all the time. I love, and we know that historical fiction nowadays, all the books all the novels I'm reading are very, very well researched and are based on, accurate historical accounts and things like that. But then there's, maybe a romantic or a different plot woven through the actual historical fact. I really wish that sometimes we would present things in a little more interesting manner to young people. One of the things that I remember from high school, two things. I think Mr. Kinnear in grade 9 history had us do a project, and I can't remember what the parameters were, but I remember that I chose to do something on the Dion quintuplets. And I loved that. That assignment, and I could tell you everything about the Dion quintuplets for a certain period of time. Not today, but the other thing that I did was I did a independent study unit through a class called Science and Society, and it was the practical application of science in the world around us. It wasn't memorizing periodic tables and things like that. It was the practical application. Use. And so I went, this is the most fascinating thing I've ever done. And for the longest time, I actually thought that this is what I was going to do for a living. I went to Metro Police Station and I met with two people, Betty Clark and David Silas. And they were the folks who sat at a computer and did the forensics. So if somebody had been pushed or had jumped onto the subway tracks and died, they were taken to the hospital. They were John Doe, Jane Doe, whatever. They would have all these tubes in their face and everything else. And David and Betty would go take photos, and then, today, way easier with computers today, but back in the old days when I was in high school, that was a real art, that was a real talent, and they would remove all of that and create a composite of what that person would look like, and then that would go out into the media. Do you know Jane Doe? Do you know John Doe? They also did a lot of abduction cases where they would take a child's photo, little Harry at 3 years old. Harry was abducted. He is now 13 years old. This is what Harry could look like. This is where he might be. All of these things. It was the best educational day of my life.
Just opened doors, made you think, right?
It opens, right. And that is the stuff I'm still very interested in. If you ever ride with me, I listen to political podcasts and I listen to crime podcasts.
Wow, I'm not going with you. I'm a 70s rock guy.
Twisted woman I am,
but that's I mean, next month we'll do Bobby's high school party days. No, next, I'm just joking. But
they're actually quite dull.
Oh yeah, sure. Anyway, but I think for educational, I mean, everybody had that teacher that had that influence that sort of made you go, oh, I like that. I want to explore that. And I think that's part. And I think too, when you were saying about the length of things, society today is so short. It's measured in 30-second sound bites. So I don't think younger folks really have that time to gravitate towards one thing that they may like and they want to explore, because it's all very quickly done. And that's something else you want to return to. And thank goodness there's still great teachers out there that are doing that every day, trying to interest kids in getting involved in what they like, and finding that path down the road, because I think that's more than ever, it's critical. It is critical.
I want to give a shout out to our educators, locally. I mean, I know so many of them, and I know that their heart,
reasons.
They do it for the right reasons, and they are dealt a really crazy hand nowadays. They have to be the therapist. Yep. They have to be all sorts of things within the classroom that teachers were never expected to be in the past. And, it's an overwhelming job these days. And I know that there's a lot of folks out there who say, oh yeah, but they get the summers off, and they just, if people are working with our children, I want them to be happy. I want them to feel respected, because then they're going to do a good job. And I think that locally, we're pretty blessed with the quality of educators we have in our system.
Cool. Yeah. It's almost 10. I got to let you go. I got things. I've got another meeting. I'm sorry. There's another podcast. There's folks that
I think I've got something else going on too.
That enjoy talking with us, but it's, thank you for explaining all that other stuff to me today, because I didn't really understand the integrity commissioner, and I've talked to a few other politicians about it, trying to figure this out. And I just found it was just, I don't know, maybe it's just me. It was dragging me down. I was like, I don't really care. I want you to focus on these things. Like, let's get this resolved and move on, because I think that's the critical part here. And it's like you said, with this Bill 9 coming, keep an eye on that. We're going to have to watch for that. And boy, it's time to go play with the big boys, isn't it? Go have fun.
Yep. We go back to Queen's Park October 20th. And so I'm looking forward to that. My legislative agenda will be in full swing. It'll be a very short session. I'm sure
it's rather late this year, isn't it?
Oh yeah, we're usually back by now.
Yeah, I assumed you were, when you're in the office, I assumed you guys were starting back.
No, October 20th, and you're right. We have to get down to this. This is the problem. We're just kept busy with drama, and while we're kept busy with drama, the taxpayer is being distracted from all the very important issues. So
they're just trying to survive. They're just trying to get to the next day. Thanks for doing this. Have a great day.
All right. Have a great one. Thanks, Dave.